Now let's take a look at how to prepare an image for print, and that involves obviously resizing and exporting, which is a considerably different process than it is for the internet. So let's take a look at this image of the maroon bells in central Colorado at the time of the fall colors around the end of September. Now, first thing we do is come up to Image, Image Size, look at the dialog box, and this is something you should be familiar with if you've seen the lesson for exporting for the internet. And indeed, we have the pixel dimensions area up here on the top and the document size dialog box on the middle. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that we have somewhere in the neighborhood of an 18 by 12 physical dimension at a resolution of 300 pixels per inch. Now, I should mention that most labs and most printer specifications will say, please print images at 300 to 360 pixels per inch, and of course that variance is depending on the lab, depends on the model printer, and a number of other different technical specifications. Now, the reason for 300 pixels per inch is because as a printer deposits ink onto a print surface, the best efficiency of balancing sharpness and color is achieved at a resolution of 300 to 360 pixels per inch. In other words, it's the sweet spot of resolution for the best possible output on your printer. But that doesn't mean that it can't do either smaller prints or larger prints. And the secret to making sure that those look good is what I'm getting ready to show you right now. First thing you want to do is check this box here, or rather uncheck this box right here that says Resample Image, and you'll notice that these two boxes, even though they are still checked, are grayed out because you can't change them, and that's a good thing. So now it automatically chose the width, and let's just go ahead and change this from 18 to 30 inches, and look what happens to the resolution. It changes to allow for the same dimensions from a pixel standpoint. So in other words, we haven't lost any image information, and we haven't distorted anything. Everything is still tack sharp, and the pixels are all arranged as they should be. Now, for an image of 30 by 20 and a resolution of 178, you may say to yourself, yeah, that resolution seems a little bit low, and indeed it is low, but at a viewing distance of an image of this size of between 6 to 8 feet, it's going to look fine. I should mention to you that when you drive down the highway and you see those big billboards, those billboard prints are made at between 1, 2, and 3 pixels per inch, which when you're standing in front of it, you can't even tell what it is you're looking at. But when you view it from the proper viewing distance of several hundred feet, it looks fine. And so that is the relationship between resolution and sharpness of the image, is the viewing distance. So let's go ahead and take this up to 5 feet, 60 inches, and look at how the resolution reduces even further. And as I mentioned, a 5-foot image, instead of being viewed at between 6 and 8 feet, is going to be viewed at between 8 to 12 feet. Proper viewing distance. Any closer, and you lose the emotional impact of the image. The lack of resolution is compensated for by the viewing distance. Now, let's get ridiculous, and let's go ahead and change the resolution to the number that I told you before, which is 2 pixels per inch. And now we have an image of 2,600 inches, 220 feet wide, which is about the size of the normal billboard on the highway. So there you have it. Don't fret if when you resize the image to the physical size that you want, the resolution drops or increases. So let's go back to a more reasonable physical size, and let's go back to that area of 30 by 20, and we'll go ahead and hit OK, and you'll notice that nothing changed in terms of the appearance of the image. The only thing that shifted was the ruler up here that indicates that now this is indeed 30 inches wide by 20 inches tall. And so when that happens, let's look at it just to make sure, and as we scan around the image, it looks fine. There's no distortion. We don't have any increase in noise. This image was shot at 100 ISO. There's a minimal noise to begin with. I do have a little bit of sensor dust, but we can deal with that later. But the image from a quality standpoint looks very, very good. I had some chromatic aberration up there I'm not pleased with, but it's not so prevalent that you can't still use the image in a print. So it looks very, very good. And if someone were to walk up to this image and look at it from a distance of 6 inches, this is what they would see, which is a lot of detail, very much in focus, no distortion, and everything looks really, really well. So then what you do is you simply go Save As, and we're not going to do Save for the web because that's a separate process. We're going to go Save As, and we have this image with the file name on it, and we're going to save it as a JPEG. Most labs want you to send them JPEGs. mainly because the file sizes are manageable and the time it takes the printer to cogitate the information is much shorter with a JPEG than it is a TIFF. And I've run tests, and even though a JPEG is throwing digital information of the image out, which purely from a mathematical standpoint is a bad thing, but in reality the images look exactly the same. So go ahead and save it to a JPEG, and be sure the Adobe RGB color space is still in there. This is not for the internet, this is for print, so we want the Adobe RGB color space. Go ahead and hit save, and I've already saved it once, so I'm going to go ahead and say yes. This dialog box will come up, and what we want is baseline standard, and rather than take this all the way up to here, which we don't need, the most efficient compression algorithm is going to be at a quality of 10, which obviously is maximum, and we go ahead and hit OK. It will be automatically changed into an 8-bit image, and that's okay because garbage in, garbage out, really, really good image in, really, really good image out. Now, you'll notice I didn't do anything with the sensor dust. That's a separate conversation. I think we can all assume that at some point we're going to go over and get rid of the sensor dust. So if you're seeing that, just know that I'm aware of it, and that's another lesson for another time. Now, I've opened the image as a JPEG. Let's take a look at it. Looks great. Doesn't look any different than the TIFF, but look at the file size. Go image size, and the file size has been reduced by half. We have a great image at 30 by 20 at a resolution of 178, which means that everything is still very, very sharp and very, very good. And your lab is going to be happy, the printer is going to be happy, and everybody's going to be happy. So that is how you resize and export an image for print in Photoshop CS6.